Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into Skeleton Crew episode 4, where the plot continues to thicken, but does it live up to the potential we've seen in previous episodes? Let's break it down. Right off the bat, I have to say I found it pretty interesting to see the wreckage of what seems to be Republic medical stations scattered around the planet. It adds an eerie post-apocalyptic feel to the world, suggesting a deeper backstory that I hope we explore more later on. But speaking of things I don't hope we explore more of, Wim. I really have to ask, is he going to continue being this insufferable? He's already put everyone's life in danger twice in the span of an episode, just for adventure and fun. At this point, he's not just annoying, he's a liability. I get that the character is meant to be impulsive, but at what cost? Now I've got to bring up something that's been bugging me, this playground. I mean, really? This is the least Star Warsy playground I've ever seen. No attempt to make it feel alien or different from anything we've seen here on Earth. It's just a generic set piece that's a missed opportunity to really lean into the galaxy far, far away aesthetic. On a more positive note, SM33 is really starting to grow on me. However, I still stand by my earlier critique. His voice acting doesn't have that signature droid quality. When you think of iconic Star Wars droid voices, R2-D2, C-3PO, or even K-2SO, there's always a certain mechanical distortion that makes them stand out. SM33 doesn't quite have that, and it's a bit of a mismark for me. Then there's KB. This character continues to spew nonsense, like saying, "This structure is in danger of collapsing." No kidding, you can see the giant holes in the roof and walls. I've confirmed it. The rat got into KB's head and ate her brain. That's why she's being so dumb. Because literally no one with a brain would stand still and tilt their head if a blaster shot rang past them. Continuing the theme of stupidity. Getting a little mirror to look out the window when Wim right next to you has his entire head sticking out like a buffoon is classic of this show. Neil is the only character who feels like he's thinking logically. The way he makes the assumption that this planet could be one of the lost ones makes sense, though it does feel like a bit much that these kids are figuring this out on their own with so little information. Still, it's a nice contrast to the chaos that surrounds them. Wim though, again, Wim, I'm begging you dude, snap out of it. You're literally stranded on a desolate planet. I get that you're trying to have fun, but maybe now is not the time to be swinging a stick around and playing games. King No Head is comedy gold. For once I agree with Fern, that they are stupid. And speaking of Fern, she's starting to show some real character growth, especially when she admits her tough girl persona is a cover. That's a tender moment, and I hope we get more of that kind of depth moving forward. As for the rest of the kids, it's getting hard to ignore how predictable the plot is getting. For example, right before I watched this part of the episode, I'd written a prediction that SM33 would have some crucial map or information hidden inside of him. Lo and behold, 5 minutes later, it happens exactly as I'd guessed. This lack of surprise is something the show really needs to address if it wants to keep things engaging. Thankfully, there are some redeeming qualities. Neil is really standing out as the hero of this group, and his bravery arc is starting to take shape. It's nice to see him develop beyond his earlier lack of personality. Honestly, I'm excited to see where this goes. Then KB, who shows off her unexplained aimbot powers. How does she keep making these impossible shots? It's kind of absurd at this point. But then again, it's Skeleton Crew, so I'm trying not to overthink it. The tactical slide that Hayna pulls off? Yeah, that didn't do much. It didn't look cool, and honestly, it probably gave away their position. But hey, it looked like something straight out of Fortnite, so maybe that's what they were going for? Now as for some of the plot points, I have to admit the whole Ancient Sanctum reveal felt a bit too convenient. Wim goes, "So you don't have the one thing we need to continue the plot?" Hayna goes, "What about the one thing they need to move forward the plot conveniently, hidden here in the Ancient Sanctum?" One more thing that bugged me was the inconsistency in accents. General Strix has this accent that slips in and out, while his daughter Hayna has a much stronger one. It's a small detail, but it does pull you out of the scene when it's noticeable. When it comes to the world building, I'm intrigued by the concept of an abandoned sister planet to AT-AT. I'm curious to see if AT-AT's school has a giant artillery cannon on the roof too, and if that will come into play in the later episodes. Of course, this episode also sets up a potential romance arc for Neil. After being shot at and almost dying multiple times, maybe this is the push he needs to talk to the girl he likes. I'm definitely looking forward to that development. As for Jod getting the EOPs back, how did that happen? Is it magic? Smuggler's charm? It's poorly explained, so we'll just have to roll with it. Pointing at a group of kids and saying "I need them" without explaining your affiliation or why you need them is diabolical, and just agreeing to it without question is even more messed up. Neil is really out here love bombing the girl he just met. It's okay, little bro. Nice guys always finish last. Lastly, what's Hayna's obsession with Neil's trunk? Like she was dragging him by his trunk earlier and now kisses the top of his trunk? That's just like kissing the top of his nose, right? But honestly, I'm most interested in the way Neil's character is evolving. I'll admit, I didn't see much personality in him earlier, but now I see he's just a kind-hearted spirit. His character arc is definitely one that I'm going to be watching. What? Just more pointless acrobatics that don't do anything. Let's wrap this up with my prediction for the next episode. After watching this one, I'm sticking to my guns. SM33 will end up sacrificing himself or being put in danger to help the crew. I think there's some crucial information inside of him, and our heroes will need it to move forward in their quest. And sure enough, 5 minutes later in the episode, that's exactly what happens. So I'm guessing pretty good at predicting the show's plot. The episode ends with Neil fainting, which feels like a real human moment for his character. It's not just about bravery in action, it's about being vulnerable too. I'm excited to see where that goes. Overall, this episode was solid. though it definitely had its weak spots. Some plot points felt forced, and the lack of action made it a bit slow. But the world building is solid, and we're introduced to some new characters that could be important moving forward. As the mid-season finale, I was hoping for a little more action and excitement, but I still think the story is moving in an interesting direction. It feels like we're just getting started, even though we're already halfway through the season. As for what's next, I expect we'll head back to Atten soon to dive deeper into what's going on there, and hopefully get some answers about the mystical treasure. It better not be the friends we made along the way though. I'm holding out hope for something more substantial. So that's it for today's review. I'll see you all back here next week for episode number 5. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time.